Will Apocalypse be able to confront his past if it means the survival of Krakoa, or will his demons get the best of him? Let's hop into the pages of X-Men number 13, a continuation of X of Swords, and find out together, shall we? So then, when we last left off with Apocalypse, he had been stabbed in the back figuratively by his grandson, the Summoner, as well as his other long-lost children, who stabbed him quite literally in the front with a poisoned sword. Poison, as we discover this issue, actually proves to be a pretty powerful weapon against the mutants of Krakoa, as it's not enough to actually kill you, but just enough to make sure you hang on in horrible, debilitating, blinding pain. Of course, that being said, even if Apocalypse was to die, it's not like they could resurrect anyone right now with the 5 out of commission. The clock is also ticking on this otherworld tournament of swords. They have 3 days to get 10 combatants together, and because Apocalypse was named in the prophecy to get him back on his feet, they're gonna have to try some potentially dangerous experimental treatment that, well, might just end up killing him anyway. It's while all this is going on, Apocalypse flashes back once again to the fall of Erica. We've seen this story already a few times about how the demons broke through the earth from another dimension with a magic sword, but Apocalypse and his 4 original horsemen, aka his kids as well as his wife, helped defeat them all. I know some people have already had a hard time placing these events in Apocalypse's already super long history. If it makes you feel better, in this issue we see the soldiers Apocalypse is leading dressed like Egyptian warriors, so make of that what you will. Eventually we do start getting some brand new revelations about what happened all those thousands of years ago, and the truth might actually surprise you all. Turns out the first mutant society of Erico battled the demons to a standstill and eventually had a meeting held between the two sides. It's here we're reintroduced to the demon's leader, an evil elder being called Annihilation, one that is able to speak through the use of a magical golden mask that takes over whoever is wearing it at the time, and which can only be wielded by a being who's already super powerful. In a move that will surprise absolutely no one, a being that calls itself Annihilation isn't exactly big on compromises and truces. Because of that, Genesis, Apocalypse's wife, decides that she's not going to offer anything in the way of mercy, meaning that the war will most definitely continue. But wait, you're probably saying to yourself, didn't Apocalypse say that he sacrificed his wife and the 4 original horsemen, that they were dragged down fighting the demons at the end of the war? Well, this is where it gets great, because it turns out Apocalypse lied. Genesis and his children went willingly to battle the demons and left Apocalypse behind because, get this, he was weaker than all of them. Yeah, that's right, Mr. Survival of the Fittest was deemed to not actually be the fittest that day. Apocalypse essentially got benched and told to stay behind to judge the rest of humanity and make sure that they were strong enough for the inevitable day that the demons would return to ravage Earth. This also means Apocalypse has been an unreliable narrator, not to just us the reader, but to the other mutants too, telling a self-aggrandizing version of events wherein he either looked like a sympathetic hero who made a terrible sacrifice, or a cold, calculating general who was willing to do everything that needed to be done. Now, though, all of his chickens are coming home to roost, and Apocalypse must reclaim his ancient weapon, the Scarab, a magic blade forged by his wife's sister, an undefeated Erico warrior in her own right. The sword came in 4 pieces to symbolize each of his children, a grim twist of fate now that we stop and think of it, that Apocalypse is probably going to have to use this on one or all of his children by the time this is over with. Oh, and Gorgon is there too, because I guess he's the only one who can actually stand Apocalypse. He already has his magic sword, so no quest for him, but we're just reminded that he's here too as the comic comes to a close. And so that was X-Men number 13, and oh boy was there a lot going on here. Apocalypse once again serves as the emotional character core of this story, and keeping with his character history, it's all very complex. There's certainly something to be said about him wanting the rest of Krakoa to think he's some kind of heartbroken family man who made the hardest choice he ever had, when in reality he was just part of some bigger machine, and that even some readers, myself included, may very well have fallen for the story he was telling. We also know from this issue that all the sword bearers may actually have been stronger than Apocalypse was once upon a time, meaning that that still could be the case now, which, for that matter, what odds do the other X-Men have fighting these guys? We also continue to see how Krakoa could very easily have ended up like Erico. In fact, they could still end up like Erico if they aren't careful. Overall, I'd give this one a very positive 9 out of 10. Good stuff. Hey there everyone, Cape Joel again, and I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you see, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. It really helps drive engagement and helps me out too. Also, if you are a patron, which you can become for as little as $1 a month, you will get exclusive content that no one else can ever see, and you'll get to see the Comic Multiverse podcast before anyone else too. You can check out all this and more down in the description. And until next time everyone, this has been Cape Joel, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.